Bienvenidos.
Welcome. This is Learning with Lobos.
I'm Paloma.
And I'm Loni, and we are education consultants with the Early Childhood Services Center.
And this is a UNM podcast for early childhood.
We are officially in Season 2.
Yay! Season 2!
Yes, so this is Season 2, Episode 1, and we're going to be talking today about playing with infants and toddlers.
There you go. Yes, infants and toddlers. Super, I don't want to say famous, important topic.
Yes, it's such an important topic because sometimes we don't know how to play with infants. And as they get a little bit older, it gets a little bit easier. But let's talk about our book of the day. So,
yes, what is our book of the day, Loni?
So Paloma, I have here a book called Opposites. So this is a Love Every book. Love Every is a, we're not paid to talk about Love Every, but it is a Love Every book. And it's a company that's going to be making books and toys and furniture for the Montessori style, which is going to be kind of a highlight today in our conversation because I did bring a lot of Love Every toys, and I think it's great to be talking about the Montessori play style. So this Opposites book, for those who are watching, can see it, but for those who are listening, it's just a book about opposites, basically. So we go through, and this ball is little, this ball is big, this child is over the table, now she's under the table. Eyes are closed, but also you can say mouth is closed, you could say the fists are closed, and then everything is open. This child is clean, now this child's dirty. Down, and then up. And then this pie is whole, and now it's broken. And the last one is, they are facing front, they are facing back. And so this book is nice and simple to teach concepts to children about the opposites. I love the Love Every books. My son has pretty much everyone he can have at the moment. And they're simple enough to where it keeps his attention and it really does help him learn. So right now he's been, learning about the open and closed one. He has learned how to close everything and then open it up. And so they are really simple and beautiful images, clean and crisp. Like, I find them to just be, not overwhelming. And so that's what we see sometimes in children's books, is that for the younger kids, it's too many words on a page. It's too complicated of a sentence or a story. And if I read that kind of book to my son, he'll walk away. He'll be like, all right, I'm done yet. And so even if that book's amazing, it's not geared towards the younger kids. These are simple enough. He's paying attention. He understands what's going on, and he's learning something. So in this case, he's learning opposites.
And Loni, how old is your son so people can get an idea?
He just turned 18 months.
Okay.
So a year and a half.
So you're saying they're Montessori based.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. So can you tell us a little bit about, or do you want to jump into the toys, or you want to keep going with?
So Montessori is definitely not my specialty, but I've definitely gained some insight now because my son does go to a Montessori school, and we use the Love Every toys because what they're there for is to teach independence. So Love Every, selling these Montessori style toys is so that your child has open-ended toys and so that they are also teaching independence. So for example, if you hand me that box.
Here's a wood box.
So we have a wood box here and it has a yellow lid. You have the more complicated version. So it comes with, different sets of challenges. So if you hand me some of those wooden coins that we have right here.
Oh, I think it's because I'm a little more advanced, so
yes.
I get to use the carrot one.
Correct. So for now, if you have a baby that's a little younger, they can practice their fine motor skills by putting these wooden coins into the slot. And then you have 5 of them, and then you just take the bottom and you start again.
Oh, nice.
It seems really simple. Actually, Everest loves this one so much. I'm surprised that he still wants to play with it because he's a little older now for it. But something about it he just really likes. And so what it is it's open-ended enough to where you can learn to put other things in here. He's really having to pinch, use the pincher grasp to put these in. He eventually can learn how to open the box himself so that he can start. And then if he gets it a little bit more, needs a challenge, then we can switch to this green lid the screen lid has the circles, right? And that's when you, Paloma, can now try and put the carrots in. This is a little challenging because you have to really push it with pressure.
You know, I was gonna say, do they go in here?
Yeah, they
Because
do.
you do it's purposely so that you can put more pressure and use a little bit more strength, right?
Exactly.
Super cute.
And that's some problem solving, right? So it's problem solving because with the coins, you didn't have to put any pressure at all. You just dropped it in and it goes right in with no problem at all. So now the child is having to think, well, this isn't going through. What do I need to do? And so you can help them problem solve and say, you have to push it. You have to push it hard. And now they're learning soft push, hard push. They're learning, you know, that different pressure of the hand. And so this toy may seem so simple, but it is actually really getting their gears working.
And sometimes we overthink it, right? Because we overthink that, oh, this is kind of reminds me, the first one you were showing, it reminds me of a alcancía. What is it called where you save money?
Oh, yes.
What's it called? One of those.
Now you're making me not real. I'm like, yes, it's so obvious.
We'll look for the word in English, but it's alcancía. But it's where you save your money. Back in the day, it was a little pig, right?
I can't think of it.
What is it called? Piggy bank?
Yes,
Piggy
thank
bank?
you.
Okay. Well, because it shouldn't have been named piggy bank, because not all of them are pigs.
Right,
now.
that's true, yeah.
But it reminds me of that simplicity, you know, of just putting a coin through there.
Exactly. And eventually now they'll, you know, if you wanted to introduce a piggy bank to the child later with something smaller, once they're able to safely, like, you know, handle change, since it's a choking hazard, but once they're older, they'll be like, oh, I've been doing that movement for a long time, you know? We have some other things on here too. So if you hand me that bag.
And Loni, is there a reason why they're the color? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So the color, that's kind of a choice of the company, but these bright colors are inviting. The wood is, you know, nice and simple. Sometimes color can be overwhelming if you put too much.
They can get overstimulated.
Exactly. It could be overstimulating, but this is simple enough with the nice slick wood next to all these just simple bright colors. There's not an abundance of designs and shapes and colors and you know, polka dots and stripes and all these things, and it's simple, and also none of it is electronic. And so I did bring an electronic toy, which I'll show in a second, but none of this is electronic because it is motivating and encouraging the child to do it on their own. Electronic toys do it for you. And so when you're using a Montessori style toy or just any open-ended toy in general, it could be, you know, Reggio toys too are open-ended, loose parts are open-ended, right? They're often supposed to be a provocation to say, hey, this is what you have, this is what you can use, and see what you do with it. But when it's electronic and it just turns on for you or speaks for you, then that imagination isn't being used, and they don't really have to problem solve. They don't really have to think critically, right? And so I have another toy here. This one is going to be more advanced.
Okay. And I think that's why, for those of you just listening,
Hearing all the bangs.
Yes, what is that called? Where it's noises that you put against the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Something with an S. Well,
We're not good with our words
we're
today.
not today. We forgot, right?
It's okay. They understand what we're saying. But yes.
So you just put these on the.
So I have basically a string here with a base so that the beads don't come out, and then I have a thick piece at the top so that it's easy to handle. And so this is an infant and toddler's first chance to string beads, which is such a great opportunity for fine motor, but also, again, for that problem solving, because we have different shapes here and different thicknesses. So these thin ones, it's pretty easy. I can just, you know, put them here and then that's it. But then I have a really, really thick and long one, and all of a sudden it's a little bit harder to move, right? I don't have as much space to move it. And just the concept of I have to move my fingers to let the other one pass. I have to hold it, put it, switch hands, let it drop.
And that's one
a
thing
lot.
I noticed with this one, a lot of the string toys that we have don't have that plastic part on the top or the holder on the bottom. So I feel sometimes it can get discouraging. When they put something in and it just comes out because they weren't prepared to where it was going to go. So I really like that they have these, the like I said, that top part and that bottom part to help.
Yeah, and that's what's great about it. This is geared towards 15-month-olds, around that age. But that doesn't mean that an infant might be able to do it a little earlier or a toddler might need a little bit later. So this toy is still being used in Everest's room because he's still trying to grasp the concept of moving fingers to fingers. So we do it together. This is a toy that he hasn't been able to use by himself, whereas the box he can use by himself perfectly fine. This one, I'm helping him saying, switch your hand, switch your hand. And so it is a bit of a challenge, but it's doing a lot. You can see he's so focused when he's working on it.
Okay.
So I really love that one because obviously it's like, what kid doesn't love making bracelets when they're like in preschool?
Right.
This is their first chance to learn how to do that in a safe way with non-chokeable beads.
Yeah, or now if you're Travis Kelce or a Swiftie, you like to make those too. But you know, and again, the thing that I noticed, there's only 3 colors here.
Yes.
Well, 4 if you include
The wood, yeah.
But it's only blue and green and the white, which is, I think, purposely so they know that that's a different part. That
Exactly.
So it also helps you guide with the colors, and it's not overstimulating, like you said. And a lot of the Montessori items and materials are that as well, right? Like there's a lot of just plain wood.
Yes, there is a lot of that. And then Reggio is similar in the way where it uses a lot of nature that comes into the classroom. So you will see a lot of wood for Reggio as well. But what I love about the material is that it's, some might say, well, they can't be too creative with it. And that's true because, there's other opportunities for creativity in other toys. This toy is teaching a skill. So it is teaching something specific. In this case, by stringing the beads, you're problem solving, you're doing fine motor, you're learning how to switch hands. So some opposites there, right? You're learning how to, use both. And that's teaching a skill. They eventually can be creative once they've managed that skill by changing the pattern of the bracelet and all of that, right? And so there is opportunity for creativity, but the mastery of the skill in that open-ended material is going to be first. And so then it's like, look, you don't know what to do with an infant or toddler. These toys that I brought today are obviously geared toward a older baby, a year and above, but they are wonderful examples of what you can do in the classroom. A child can spend 15, 20 minutes with you if they're engaged enough sitting here doing this. I know that I spend a lot of time with my son, Everest, with that yellow box, even though, again, that toy was for when he was, I want to say, 6 or 8 months old-ish. So obviously he's totally way past that, but he just loves it for some reason. He still wants to play with it. So I bring it out sometimes. It's so simple. It's not going to give you the stimulation of an electronic toy. So maybe people will say, this is so boring, but obviously not. Even though he's way advanced for it now, he still wants it.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem a lot is that teachers or even parents might think, because obviously for their level, it's like, well, who would want to put
coins in a box?
But it's really it's appropriate. It helps them where they're at, at their development. So I think sometimes we overthink it and we think, oh, we want this grandioso thing that the kids are gonna be, gravitate towards. And sometimes simple is better. And we always say less is more. So you take this box and you can use it in so many ways because I'm sure you can think of other games once
Definitely.
he becomes more skilled with this, and then you can just take this on the go in the car or wherever you go, and you're not taking this abundance of toys or a lot of things that are unnecessary. So it's a really cool thing. I really like these. And you said they were called what?
Love Every. And also a thing too is you were saying simple is sometimes better. That reminds me of season 1 when we had Heather as a guest, right? And we were talking about creativity, and sometimes a simple box can create all this, opportunity. We mentioned in that episode about pots and pans. Babies love pots and pans. That's simple. Sometimes we don't need to overstimulate them with electronics or bright lights and bright noises and loud noises and all these things. because it can kind of be overwhelming, but it also takes away the work. And I think what makes children like something as simple as that is because it is making them think. It's almost like, they're hyper focused on, let me really work hard.
What is this?
To string this. And why won't it go? Why won't it go past my hand? And then an adult sitting there helping them. You have to let go, but touch it here. Oh, okay. And how do I do that again? And so it's making them think, and you can see it in their face. They're super focused on trying to figure it out. And so in Montessori, they call it work. And obviously our episode is about play, but in that philosophy, it is called work because that is the work of play of children. It's how they learn. It's how they learn. And if it's a simplified toy and you have the ability to really teach a skill simply and encourage them to do the work, it really changes things. So I want to give an example of opposites because I have 2 musical instruments here.
Okay.
Our table is getting a little bit messy because we have so much toys, and that's okay. Mess is fine.
It's okay. I was going to say, it's all right.
So I have here an electronic band toy.
Famous electronic piano talking about overstimulating, right?
Yes.
I can't even tell the theme. There's so much going on. Animals, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, there's animals. So it's a monkey band. And Everest does love this toy. But I think that there's a balance between having these kinds of toys and having these electronic toys. So, I want you to take a minute. I'm going to turn it on.
Okay.
And I want you to play with it.
Music. I'm strumming on my guitar. I like to play happy tunes. I like to play music
Okay.
And if you turn the dial one more time, it'll change it.
Sing along with me. Pig, dog,
Oh.
cow,
So
elephant,
every key has a different color. Blue, red, orange, yellow, green. And every key has a different animal with a different instrument.
Exactly.
Cat with the piano.
And you can even twist the monkey.
Oh.
You can twist him.
Okay, all right. I'm starting to see the appeal.
Yeah. So it is fun, right? It's
Yeah.
fun, but it takes some of the work from you. If you go turn it off that way. So it takes some of the work from you because it's making the sounds for you, it's talking, and it's telling you what to do, right?
It's almost like having a TV
Yes.
as opposed to drawing.
Exactly,
That's
right.
how I feel. It took over, literally like you said, it took over the creativity and it was like, all right, what does it do?
Exactly.
As opposed to over here is what can I do with this?
And that's the difference is now we have this instrument
Okay.
that is in rainbow colors, right? And we have
5 bells.
We have bells, and it has letters on the top, A, G, E, D, C, for the musical notes. It's also can be worked as a puzzle because the color and the letter is underneath the bells so that they know where to put them back. But now, experiment with that for a second.
Let's see. Oh, that's cool. And I think eventually I would have figured it out.
Yes.
And this is math as well, right? Mix and match or matching.
Yep.
That's math right there.
That's a puzzle in itself.
A puzzle.
It's problem solving. It's fine motor.
Oh, I could be here all day.
Exactly.
I forgot we were filming.
So this is so much fun because they can learn music by actually needing to problem solve, think critically, challenge themselves. Eventually they can challenge themselves over time. So this toy can keep going, right?
And talk about creativity too.
Exactly. They can be creative with it. Right now, with a younger baby, they're just going to hit it, and that's fine. But then as they get older, they might start trying to learn a simple tune. And then as they get even older, they might want to make up their own tune. And as they get older, they're going to start, experimenting and making it challenging. This toy, the monkey toy, as fun as it is, a 4-year-old's not going to want to play with this. A 5-year-old's
Right.
not going to want to play with this. A 5-year-old can play with this because they can make it more challenging than the 18-month-old who's simplified it for himself. And so that's the great part about open-ended toys, is that it's open-ended enough for certain age groups as well.
Yeah, and then I think, with this one as well, right away I started pressing, I started hearing sounds, and it's entertaining. It's not entertaining, but I can see how eventually, okay, after a while, there's those two sounds, and
Right.
unless you're really making music, which would be difficult, but not impossible with 5 notes. Oh, and the black ones, do the black ones also?
No,
Oh,
they're
okay.
just for show.
But this one, the creativity to me, it just seems like you said, like you can keep going and going, and even when the child is older, you can continue to use this. And as you said, since they're musical notes, eventually they can. I was about to make a little song.
Exactly. I know. I was here for it. I was like, okay, concert.
I was trying to remember how to play the jingle from the podcast so I can
Oh,
play
yes.
it, but I forgot.
That's okay. No, the pressure was on.
Right.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day here is the point of these toys are just examples, right? For our programs who are viewing and listening, that it can give you some ideas on some new type of material to bring into the classroom to give some challenges and some fun to your students. Infants and toddlers, they are often, seen as, well, they're just babies, so they're not really learning yet. But that's not true. All of this is a learning opportunity, and all of it is hard work, even as young, right? I like I said in the beginning, I didn't bring anything for under 1, but there are plenty. They're just all packed away, so I didn't want to go into the
You've
attic and
moved
get
on.
those.
You've moved on into the
Yes,
next one.
but there's always, something for the younger kids that really can give them an opportunity to think critically and not do the work for them. What I see a lot of times in infant and toddler classrooms is electronic toys.
Oh, right. And that's another what I was gonna talk about a little bit. That in the classroom, sometimes I do hear teachers saying, "Oh, especially when there's a mixed age at a home. Oh, we're including the baby. He's sitting right here while we do this, and I let him touch the paint," which is great. But there's way of including infants and toddlers in almost everything that the other little ones that are older are doing. Besides just sitting them, because it's almost like a tease, right? You're sitting there just watching everybody do things, and
You're observing, but you're not actually participating.
right. And there's so many ways of having them participate and be part of the play. And I don't know if it's intimidating or they think they're gonna get hurt or it's too much. But we always emphasize how important 0 to 3 years old are, and those moments, all this stuff that can be just the right amount of stimulation, just the the creativity, the wonder, the skills that you are providing and offering to learn with these toys. It's right there, 0 to 3. What an opportunity to see the creativity.
Yeah.
And one thing that you mentioned earlier that I love seeing is when you said when they're doing that problem solving, and you see especially the little ones in their face when
Oh yeah, you can see it. They're just like,
something's not going right, or when it happens, like, oh, I just did this. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun to watch him. And I know one of our trainings that there's a video where you just watch babies. I know that most people don't have the time, but if you are able to just sit there,
come
and
to my
watch,
house, you can watch my baby all day long.
and they're so incredible. Their faces and their expressions, and watching that the moment when they're learning. It's so much fun. If, like I said, if you have the time of just sitting there and watching them play. And also another thing that you touched on about how they're doing work, and that's the term that it's referred to with Montessori.
Right. Yeah.
And basically, the child's job is to learn, right?
To play, to have fun.
So it's the work that they're doing is all this stuff that's helping them with their skills, and like I like to say, the tools that they're putting in their toolbox for the future. So in the near future as well, when they're starting to walk and doing other things. But this is really, really cool stuff. I really do like it. And again, I feel like that fear of, well, I can't teach babies math, or I can't teach babies, it's everywhere. It's
Oh, I should have
everywhere.
brought my baby math book.
Oh, there you go.
There's an amazing book from Love Every called Baby Math, and it's got texture so you can touch it. It's one of my favorites, and it's like 1 bucket, 2 buckets, and then it like you can count that, and then it does more than just the counting for math concepts, but my baby is ahead of me, my mommy's behind, I'm off the grass, I'm on the grass. And then they even do a pattern page where it's like, fuzzy, it's like a strawberry and then a peach and then a blueberry, and then it says how, what do you need to do to add another one of each. So it's teaching patterns, it's teaching all of the different concepts of math. Everest loves that book as well. And so there is definitely opportunity to do these different topics. And some might say, right, oh, I don't have access to these types of toys. So I do want to be realistic in talking about, like this specific company is, online, but they do sell some of their toys at Target. But you don't have to have the fanciest kinds. We've talked about pots and pans. We've talked about other things. What we're really talking about mostly today is not this specific company or even Montessori, but just open-ended, simplified, non-electronic material that really gets kids to have to think harder and to challenge themselves. You can find plenty of those types of toys at Target, Walmart, whatever. You can make some. Another open-ended, easy idea is blocks. Blocks is gonna be it's going to be the cockroach of toys, right? Like it's always going to be there. Yeah, no matter what happens, blocks in some capacity. My grandparents played with blocks in some way. My dad played with blocks in some way. Then me, and now Everest. Blocks will always be there. They're simple. They're open-ended. They build creativity. They help with fine motor. They help with problem solving.
A lot of toys are considered blocks.
Exactly. There's lots of ways to do blocks. Right now we have, at like Lakeshore, they have those cardboard ones where you have to like build them real quick, and then they're lightweight, and they're like what, like this big or something.
And they're safe.
And they're safe to throw or fall. Exactly. And then the toy lending library has a series of really cool blocks in different shapes and sizes.
We have a whole block section, so a whole shelf full of blocks that are, anything you can think of. A lot of people come in and they ask for, oh, my son likes cars and a baby, right? And it's like, well, I get that, and you can go buy them cars wherever, but there's other opportunities here that you can get in, because we have things with wheels. I'm not sure if they would consider them cars because they're not intricate Hot Wheels, you know? Right. But we have things with wheels. So in the block section you can find vehicles. You can find different things. But the block section, I think, is that and manipulatives, which includes a lot of blocks, are our biggest sections here in the toy library. And so we do have a plethora of materials that can be used. And again, the infants and toddlers, there is material that they can use. There are so many things, like you were mentioning when we talked to Heather last year. Boxes. If some of your pots and pans, you don't want them to get dents, then get them a little cheap set of
and don't we have like that beehive, right? I'm always seeing that little beehive with the bees, and that's going to be fine motor, trying to put the bees in, counting them. That's early concepts of math.
And I believe it comes with it looks like a chopsticks.
Oh yeah.
So then you can add that level of picking it up with the chopsticks, and so more fine.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter if you are using the Love Every, company, or you're going to Target, you're going to Walmart, you're doing a DIY, you're going to the toy lending library and borrowing some things you don't have access to. What we're really wanting teachers to take away is try a little bit of these more open-ended types of material that really make kids have to think, instead of handing them, which we know are notoriously cheaper, which is probably why they're more popular. But these electronic toys, as fun as they are, that shouldn't be the only thing we see on the shelves, which I often see, is that we've got a lot of this type of toy. But once a child uses this, they get bored quicker, because it's like it didn't do anything for them. It wasn't stimulating, like you said, right?
You don't feel as satisfied.
Exactly. You didn't learn a skill necessarily. You interacted with the material. It was exciting. It was fun.
I feel like this is more learning how to master this particular thing. When it's something like this, it's more of the creative piece of what else
Yeah.
can I do with it.
Right.
Another thing with these ones, you're never gonna finish buying batteries.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
always gonna need batteries.
Yeah.
They always come with the one thing that so annoying, the little screw.
Yes.
So you have to get that. So I
Yep,
might
the
not
screws
seem
and
like to
everything.
it. Someone might say, "Oh, that's not a big deal. You would screw it," but I mean, maybe because I work at a toy library and I've done that a lot. Just that of replacing eventually the battery, it can get when it gets that little white powder and you know and
Right.
and eventually it'll stop. As
Well-
opposed to these, you can donate and once you're done.
Oh, definitely. These
will
are
never
sturdy.
Stop working. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You're not gonna have to worry about, if something goes out of battery. Because what happens is this toy able to be used if the battery's dead and you don't have access to a battery? Nope, it's useless
You
now.
can press, but there is nothing,
Nothing
you're
fun.
getting out
It's
of it.
turned off is essentially what we would consider the battery being dead, right? We could pretend nothing's happening, and so it doesn't matter where you are. These other toys, can be used in another way, and you don't have to worry about that aspect. And even so, this toy, you can change the challenging level, and it will show you like the sound of the different instruments. So this is the guitar, this is the drum, and that's the piano, that's the bells, and that's a violin, trumpet, right? That's really great. But wouldn't it be so much better if kids actually had those bells?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be great if they had a piano and they had
how
a violin?
Much fun. I was at a center and for circle time, I was actually doing a class observation, and for circle time, they each had an instrument. And they would just move
Yes.
to the next. The only thing would be if it's an instrument that you have to put in your mouth.
Right,
and of
right,
course
right.
That, but if it's drums or
The
sticks,
rhythm
or
sticks.
rhythm sticks, the ones the Spanish ones.
Oh,
for
yes.
flamenco dancing.
Yes.
I see those a lot. But they each had one. They would sing a song, and then they got to be as loud as they wanted, and then they would switch to the right and pass on. It was
Yes.
so much fun because everybody got to use an instrument, but there's nothing like having the real instrument in your hands and using it. And so, yeah, how much more fun would it be to have these instruments in your hand rather than just have this one thing that once you master it is like, what else?
Yeah,
can I do
this
with
is
it?
the sound of it. Well, that's great. It's kind of like when we talked about in our old training, the 45-hour, where we had that Apple activity. Do you remember that?
That's the only thing I remember.
Yeah.
Well, everything else you see,
Yes. But the Apple
that's
activity, we
such a
talk
big
about like what's the benefit of having a child actually holding a real apple, tasting the apple, smelling the apple, touching the apple, hearing the crunch when they bite into the apple versus seeing a picture of an apple. And even so, we go into details about cartoon apples and all the things, right? But
toy apple.
exactly. That is the perfect example of why these toys versus these toys have such a difference in the impact it makes for the children who are playing with it. Because this is going to tell me what a violin sounds like. But if my teacher brings in a violin and lets me go up and take my finger and hear it and see it, that's different. If I press this drum and it says, this fake drum button, and it makes a sound, okay, that's a drum, but I don't know what a drum looks like in real life. I just know that toy's button makes a sound like a drum. But if you bring me a real drum and then I can see what it looks like, I can touch it myself, I can use my hands to pitter-pat it, I can take the drumsticks to pitter-pat, all of the things. And then it takes the learning to a whole other level. And what's important about that is when you're an infant or a toddler, when you're young, getting to experience those things and learning the language is going to help them when they're older, right? Like we want to talk to our infants. We want to be able to say things. This isn't saying much.
Right.
We want to be able to say, this is a drum. You're hitting the drum. You're hitting the drum now with your hands. Now you're hitting the drum with the drumsticks. Now you're making it soft. Now you're hitting it hard and it's louder. But if they're just pressing this, you can say you're pressing the button, but it's not the same. It doesn't have the same impact.
And I think they said the cat has the piano or something.
Right.
And that's the same. And you can make music with this other one. You can sing songs. You can sing your own songs in your own language. As opposed to this one is just
It's always going to be the
stuck to
same.
this one thing, yes. And but super different. And like you were saying, not that we're saying they're fun. They can be very fun, especially for a moment. But what these offer is just so much more and for so much longer. So that's it.
Yeah.
You can't beat
For
it.
so
And
much longer, that was the right
we-
thing to say, for sure.
And we do have a Montessori section here that at the toy library that people can come in and check out. Some of these toys are not the same. We're gonna try to and have. I really like these, so we'll try to have more things that are these stimulating. But I see a lot nowadays a combination of approaches when parenting. It's not necessarily like they're going this way or that
Right.
way. Whether it's Reggio or Montessori or whatever it is, it seems like there's a combination. Little, the parents
Right.
get little, which is totally fair.
This toy is from Everest's playpen, and so are those.
Oh, there you
And
go.
that's okay. And I will say he hasn't gravitated to this in a long time, which kind of shows.
He knows it.
Yeah,
he
he's
probably
like,
knows.
"Ah,
I know
yeah."
what that's gonna do.
Yeah.
This one, hey, I haven't conquered this. I haven't mastered this. So it's like just a sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
That it
Yeah.
might give you. So that's another thing. I feel a lot of the times also we tend to not think of little children as if they don't have those emotions or those
Right.
feelings of accomplishment, of I did it, of defeat. So a lot of these things are tackled as well with these materials.
Yeah, and since we've been talking about kind of simplified, easy materials to get to, a little while back before the new year, I went to one of my programs, and the infant teacher, she had, just like a traditional laundry basket, the plastic kind, and she had it filled with a ton of blankets and things like that. And so it was heavy. And she, it was an infant room, and one of her infants was pushing it around the classroom. And she was like saying, yeah, we do this because it's heavy enough so that it's a challenge for her and she likes to push it. And I thought, you know what? I went home and I tried to do that with Everest, but we just didn't have the right type of basket. So my husband's looking at me like, what are you doing? And I was like, it worked in this classroom, but we need a different basket.
I can see your husband showing up.
Yeah.
And the baby's pushing the laundry. Push it harder.
It was definitely a fail, but if we had the plastic kind, because we didn't have the right kind of basket, but Everest was interested, but then realized, okay, this isn't going to work, so I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, oh, sorry, mommy, needs to think of it better next time. But it worked so well in that classroom. Who doesn't just have a laundry basket? If you don't have one, go to the dollar store and get a plastic laundry basket, fill it with a bunch of the blankets, and for kids that have that extra energy, they can push it around, they can get tired, they can, it's going to be challenging if they hit something that makes them not be able to go. And then they start getting upset. Oh, it looks like you're stuck. So you're teaching them language. You're teaching them problem solving. You're stuck. What do we need to do? We need to turn our bodies. We need to move this direction. We can't go this direction. There's a wall. Like, you're talking to them. You're narrating. You're teaching them the concept. They're learning a bunch of skills just from the simple idea of filling up a basket with blankets.
Oh, who would have known, huh?
Right?
Because then you made me think of when they're out there in their little trikes or whatever, in the playground. You've been learning direction. You've been learning,
Right.
like you said, I see it a lot that they don't know, okay, I'm stuck. What do I do now?
Yes.
And it's, you turn and,
Yep.
or you back up. And so that right there, that's really cool.
Yeah,
That's really
and it's
neat.
such a simple idea. Again, it's taking less and making it more. And I think that there's so many ideas that I bet you that, I encourage our programs, our infant and toddler teachers to email us your ideas.
Yes.
What kind of open-ended material are you using in the classroom for your little ones? What have you been teaching them? What skills? If you've been using pots and pans, or if you've been doing something like that basket idea, share with us. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to add it to our ideas and share it with our other programs too, because, I think that there are teachers that are doing stuff like this. There are teachers that are teaching this open-ended, style, or they're using loose parts with young kids. They're using, different things that are more simplified. And there's definitely a benefit. And I think that we could add to our ideas for sure.
Totally. And we would love to know what works out, what doesn't work out. That would be great, for you guys. You don't have to you can send us questions. You can send us, hey, this didn't work out for me. Maybe we have suggestions of things that you can change to make it different and have it work out for you. what does work out, because
Yeah.
you'd be surprised things that teachers do and they think everybody's doing this, and no, you see things in different centers and different home centers that this is one of the reasons why I'm looking forward for our trainings to be in person again, because it's you learn so much when you're talking to others,
Right,
when
it's
you're,
different.
exchanging ideas, and again, a lot of teachers are like, yeah, I do this all the time, but you think it's normal, and a lot of teachers are not using those strategies. So it's always helpful to just let us know what's working out over there, what's not working out for you. Like we were saying, the infant classroom, the babies are it's a classroom. Sometimes I hate walking into a classroom and not hearing anything.
Yes.
I feel like the least you can do is have communication.
You have to be talking the whole time.
Singing, talking, and there's so much so much that you can actually be doing, not just we change their diaper and that's it. But I hope that we continue to have trainings that focus on infants and toddlers.
Yeah, definitely, and how
because-
they play and how they think.
Yes, and all these strategies and ideas that I hear from teachers, and they do ask us, but send us your questions. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
No, there's no stupid question. There's no wrong question. You want to know, send it to us. If you want to be anonymous, we won't say who you are, and we can tackle this together.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't have a question from the field today. So it's a good opportunity that we're reminding everyone to send in their questions, send in their stories. It doesn't have to be a question. It could be a success. It could be a celebration story you want to share. This happened, and we would just love to shout it out in our episode, And there's so many opportunities for everyone to go out there and to see the infant and toddler rooms as a classroom. That's so important. You need to see it as a classroom and not as, babysitters. We are all professionals in this field. It's harder to feel and look professional because of society. We see infant teachers like, oh, you're just watching a baby. But as you can see, there's a lot of work that can be done in an infant room. And all the talking, like you said, you're teaching them their first language. You're narrating things. You're explaining the world around them. You're describing the world around them. And sometimes it can be simple if you just take a roll of tape, a roll of painter's tape, and take a couple of pieces and stick it on the floor or on the table. Those babies and toddlers will be spending tons of time trying to take those off. It's like simple. You don't have this fancy bell, toy, but you have a roll of tape. Go for it. The kids are going to have fun.
That reminds me of a teacher telling one of our colleagues, Joel, well, I can't put the tags around because the little ones that are crawling come over and take him off the tape. And he goes, well, what a wonderful fine mortar activity.
Exactly, definitely.
They were like, what? Oh, yeah, you actually just created something for them, a challenge.
To do, yes.
So he's like,
it is hard. You have to really...
It's difficult, yeah. So if you see it that way, right, everything they're doing it's learning. And like we said, how important those years are, that, man, it's just as much as we can, show them and expose them to, appropriate things. Obviously, it would be great for them and their future, and their future playing too, so that's really cool. But I've been at the library where a child grabs a toy and, Mom, what do you do with this? And Mom is like, I don't know, ask her.
You're like,
I actually haven't
pressure!
played with that, so what? Let's see.
Yeah,
Let's figure it out. And that's part right there. They enjoy it. The parents are like, I don't know why they enjoy so much hanging out with you. It's because we were just literally figuring it out together.
You guys were just
partners.
doing it. Yes.
I wasn't telling them. We were a team of figuring things out. But absolutely. Well, I really like this topic, and I think it's very beneficial for our teachers out there because, like I said, I do hear a lot of, well, they're too little.
Yes.
So we have to, it's important, like you said, to plan, to be prepared, and plan, but be flexible. And like you said, when it all, it goes wrong or anything, communication. Just
yes,
try to
exactly.
Talk it through. And hey, even if you weren't able to figure it out, at least you talked through, what you could potentially solve the problem. But
exactly, yeah. And maybe in the future we need to do an episode where we target some material that's for even younger kids.
Yeah.
Or, do a special like in the newsletter where we talk about, like, because these were, like I said, all above 1. And so maybe infant teachers are like, well, what do I do with a 3-month-old or a 5-month-old? And there's definitely a lot you can do open-ended wise and with these types of materials. And so maybe that's something we can revisit if it seems like a need in the field. And so we won't know unless you send send us an email and say your questions, your stories, your wants.
Yes, please send us an email. Send us whatever you want to tell us. How we're doing. You want to ask questions. You want to tell us how you're doing. Send us an email. This is what we're here for. We're here for you guys, and we want to hear from you guys, and we want to also shine light into the things that teachers in New Mexico are doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much, Paloma. Well, this is Learning with Lobos.
This is our first episode of season 2, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.
Bienvenidos.
Welcome. This is Learning with Lobos.
I'm Paloma.
And I'm Loni, and we are education consultants with Early Childhood Services Center.
And this is a podcast for early childhood.
This is now officially season 2.
Yay! Season 2. Oh.